Hey guys, how you all doing today? Finally, a beautiful day, beautiful weather out here. Finally, and of course, today's the day I got to spend my entire day inside. I'm packing up. I'm moving. Right? Not far, not going too far, but moving all the same. Thought I'd pause, do a video. So, while everybody loses their mind about the Bill C-10, right? We're getting whipped up into a hysteria over absolutely nothing regarding Bill C-10. I'm seeing more and more that this is being done to distract us from actual important issues, right? Which is what I've been saying all along. And what's an actual important issue? Well, the Jacobin has just reported that, has just done a big long report on the Canada Infrastructure Bank, okay? Now, everybody's losing their mind being like, oh, Bill C-10 will let them strip our rights and take down all this kind of stuff and all this. Well, the Canada Infrastructure Bank, right? This thing entrenches corporate power structurally into our governmental system, okay? What am I talking about? What is the Canada Infrastructure Bank? I mean, first of all, articles down below, so if you want to just have a read on it, you can go ahead. But the Canada Infrastructure Bank. So, you know how conservatives and liberals, whenever you say like, hey, we should feed people and maybe people should have access to shelter, they'll say, how are you going to pay for that, right? As if the government doesn't print and destroy money, as if they don't have control of the supply of currency, as if they can't just erect institutions like they did throughout the 60s and 70s, which we saw, we witnessed, we all know it can be done. Right? But there's a nasty side effect to doing that, which is that you have to tax away worthless wealth that's just sitting there doing nothing but piling in the corner, right? Like, let's say the hundreds of billions of dollars that are accruing in offshore accounts that we all know exist, right? So that would be the rational way to pay for things, right? If you are, the government. But these liberals have decided that that's not the way they want to run this thing. They're not interested in actually taxing away the wealth of the slavishly, grotesquely, sociopathically wealthy people who exist in the world, who incidentally are funding billions and hundreds of billions of dollar projects in order to gaslight us and convince us that climate change isn't real and these sorts of things. So instead of doing what's rational, they're erecting what's called the Canada Infrastructure Bank, okay? So the Canada Infrastructure Bank is a place where these slavishly grotesque billionaires can go and deposit their money into infrastructure projects in what's called a public-private partnership. Now, it is at this point that we should remind everybody, Mussolini had a great quote regarding fascism, right? That fascism would be better to be called corporatism because it's the merger of business and government, right? Fascism is the merger of business and government, just like theocracy is the merger of the church and state. Fascism is the merger of business and state, or a partnership between the public and the private sector, right? So when the government stands up and says, we're going to create a bank that facilitates and allows public-private partnerships with ease, it perks my ears up a little bit. I get a little nervous about that. I sit here and I start to think, maybe this should be something we should be ringing alarm bells about, that the liberal government is erecting an institution instead of actually taxing billionaire wealth away. They're erecting an institution so that billionaires can entrench themselves permanently into our infrastructure projects. If you're one of these people who dodge out of these videos around this time, please be sure to like, please be sure to share, please be sure to subscribe. Please go to the please go to the CanadianCommie.com, bookmark that page so that when YouTube finally pulls me down, you can go to a website and find my new content. I also have a podcast, thesocialistagenda.com. Please be sure to check out thesocialistagenda.com for more on this topic and other topics with my partner JB. Okay, guys. The Canadian Infrastructure Bank is a complete and total disaster for Canadians, right? It entrenches corporate power structurally into the system of government. It means that we can't actually get anything done, right? We can't build roads, build bridges, build sewer systems, right? Subways, any of this stuff that we all know should be getting built, needs to be getting built, that we know we need to be focusing on. Forget about things like affordable housing. Forget about things like a basic income. You know, forget about things that are projects that are so large scale, like feeding and clothing the populace. Forget about any of that. I'm talking about the stuff that even the most hard right neo-fascist conservative would say, no, we absolutely need to be focusing on this. You know, like building a road, right? So now anytime the Liberals have set it up now so that anytime we need to build a road, well, we need to go ask permission from a billionaire, right? We need to go to the Canadian Infrastructure Bank and we need to take out a literal loan from a billionaire, asking them permission. Oh, please, Mr. Billionaire, sir, can we please build a road to Sudbury? Please, Mr. Billionaire, can we please build a bridge in Kingston? Please, Mr. Billionaire, can we? Please? And instead of building the bridge, saying, who cares what this billionaire thinks about any of this, instead of just building the bridge and then saying, hey, there's like $1 trillion offshore that are just sitting there doing absolutely nothing and are completely worthless, or instead of raising the corporate tax rate by 0.2% or something like this. No, we're instead going to take a loan out from these guys. We're instead going to have them loan us the money, which we then have to pay back to the billionaire with interest, because they're not going to just give us a loan for free. And if you think I'm elevating this story to above what it is, everything I'm saying here has already been confirmed by Bill Morneau and Justin Trudeau, right? They've already admitted that these public-private partnerships, which is, you know, a long fancy way of saying fascism, these public-private partnerships are more expensive than doing it the traditional way. They've already said this. They already know, right? They're already aware that what they're doing is more costly, more difficult for the Canadian populace, but it entrenches, but it means that they don't need to confront their capitalist buddies, right? It means that when they go to brunch with their capitalist buddies, they'll be part of the crew, right? They'll be on the inside, which is exactly where they want to be, right? They want to be out at brunch with their capitalist buddies. And like, what this means for us as citizens, the existence of this Canadian Infrastructure Bank, it means that when we are voting for our leaders, right? When we go to the polls and we actually vote for leadership, we're not actually voting for leaders. It means we're voting for people who will, at best, go and beg the billionaire class for money. That's what we're doing. The Canadian Infrastructure Bank subserviates our leadership to the oligarch class, to the capitalist death cult. Remember, this is a class of people who are actively attempting to destroy us through climate change, who are actively attempting to commodify and sell our water supply, right? Like, these aren't hysterical whingings. This is what's happening directly in front of us, right? And the Canadian Infrastructure Bank takes these sociopathic death cultists who are actively attempting to destroy our society and destroy our culture and destroy our people, and it entrenches them into our governmental proceedings, so that when we get to the point where we need to ask the question of, oh, how do we pay for this? How do we adjust our system to compensate for the existence of, building a bridge, right? How do we organize this? We're constantly allowing this sociopathic death cult to step in and say, no, I don't necessarily want that bridge built. No, I don't. Or maybe I do want that bridge built. Yeah, sure. So here's the money. I expect the loan back. Here's the interest. You'll have to pay me. It'll cost you way more to do. And it'll entrench me, a worthless billionaire who's not actually adding anything to the project, a worthless billionaire who literally has nothing worthwhile to say on any subject whatsoever. They're just born rich, right? And to give you a sense about how ludicrous this is and how insane this is. So the wealthiest man in Canada, right? His name is David Thompson. It's not a surprise that you don't know that. The Canadian media works very hard to keep you illiterate on who the wealthiest people in Canada are. And it's especially egregious and ridiculous in this case because David Thompson, his official title, recognized by the Canadian government, is the third Baron of Fleet, right? He's a baron. He's monarchy. His family are monarchs that came over during the colonial period, took over the way that monarchs do, and since then they've been an entrenched hereditary wealth hoarder since the very inception of Canada, and going back into the British monarchical period. And what's Justin Trudeau done? Well, he's made it so that the wealthiest man in Canada, a baron, literally a monarch, gets to say, no, that's okay, that can't happen, right? That's what he's done. Forget the idea that Canadians will get together, elect a leader, put them in power. That leader will go, okay, we're going to build this bridge, right? And then set aside the money, take a look at the society, go, well, who doesn't need any of this money? Well, here's $100 billion just sitting in an offshore account that nobody's using. Let's just, take that, use it to fund this bridge, right? No, forget any of that. That's done, right? The Canadian Infrastructure Bank means that that's finished. Now what's going to happen is we're going to elect our leader, right? The leader is going to go to David Thompson, right? A baron, and go, Mr. David Thompson, sir, please, Mr. Baron man, can I please have a little bit of money so that we can build a bridge and allow people to blah, 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 blah. And David Thompson is going to go, no, right? Because why would he say yes? Right, a bridge doesn't make him any money, right? Bridge doesn't help him, right? And that's all he cares about. That's all he's ever going to care about, is what he needs, what he wants. And so in this way, with the creation of the Canadian Infrastructure Bank, the federal Liberals have restructured a monarchy. Right? We're back. We're back, baby. Forget about democracy. Forget about any of this, because it doesn't matter who you put into power as long as the Canadian Infrastructure Bank exists, right? There's a monarchical class who can say yes and no to any project we want to put in. We've subserviated ourselves once again to a monarchy. Thanks, Liberals. You did it. Under these circumstances, guys, you're doing really well. You really are. You're focusing on the right stuff. You're making good decisions for yourself. You're things are insane. Things are crazy. Our media is screaming at us about Bill C-10 while completely ignoring this Canadian Infrastructure Bank, which is literally a restructuring of our society towards fascism, and a reinstitution of a monarchical class who can literally say no to some of the most basic projects we have for the government in the first place. It's insane. And under those circumstances, you're doing very well. People like David Thompson spend billions of dollars to gaslight you, to ensure that you don't know what's going on, to ensure that you have no idea what to focus on, to ensure that you constantly think worse of yourself, that you constantly believe that things are going badly and that it's your fault. None of that is true. You're a wonderful person making good decisions for yourself and the people around you based on the insane society that you live in. You are a divine being standing on divine energy. We could use some of it. Good luck. We're gonna need it.